Oh, that was like the easiest quest ever. Okay, cool, neat. But yeah, it's just a plot of Dark Souls 3, but less hidden, because Dark Souls 3 was about how stagnating and having an endless now is a bad idea. But Dark Souls 3 and Xenoblade 3 seem to take the same idea in drastically different ways, which is cool. Now that you mention it, that is actually a really interesting parallel, since the whole plot of Dark Souls is like, you know, continuing this cycle over and over again, like the fire kindling, freaking whatever the hell, continuing the cycle there with all the Lords of Cinder. Until eventually you face off against like the Soul of Cinder, the Lord of Cinder, I believe it is there, and you know, bring an end to the endless now as is pursued in Xenoblade 3. So it is actually a really good point there. I think you are right. I think that Dark Souls 3 and Xenoblade 3 are kind of telling the same kind of plot in an interesting way. Interesting there. Maybe if I make like a video essay on this game, maybe that's a point that I should bring up then, because it is actually a really interesting point. Soul of Cinder, yeah, that there. My goodness, Elden Ring consumes so much of my life that I forgot some of the boss names there. Speaking of Elden Ring, I recently was over at my little cousin's place, and I family shared my Steam library to him. So he's been playing Elden Ring recently, and during like his first session, he started trying to like cheese Margit with like Scarlet Rot, but then eventually just killed Margit normally just by like overwhelming him with like damage and the wolves. was the thing. And then he got to Godric, and he did successfully jank Godric. He got like a summon that was like from Caelid, that was like this zombie wolf thing that could inflict Scarlet Rot. And he got Scarlet Rot inflicted on Godric, and then he just ran away for a couple minutes while Godric slowly died. And then that was freaking Godric killed like first session, after I took like 4 hours to kill Godric just by like fighting. Yeah, he just freaking Scarlet Rot him and then ran away, and then Godric died. And then he started trying to like cheese kill Radahn. He hasn't been able to like successfully do it yet, but you know, he's only been playing it for like a few days, and he's already past level 100 because he's been pursuing like some really crazy ways to grind. He did that side quest that transports you to like the hell-like place where I was grinding against like the bird that you shoot with an arrow and it like runs off, and you know, you get runes over and over again. He freaking with the like power of the interwebs found an even more efficient way to grind than that, and it's in the same place. He freaking does this like incredibly intricate like parkour sequence to go out of bounds, fall out of the map, which surprisingly doesn't kill you, but it like unloads. Eventually you get far enough that it unloads all the terrain above, but it keeps the enemies, and all the enemies fall to their deaths, and it gives them like 140,000 runes on the spot. So apparently you can do it in like other places in the world, but you just don't want to do it because it would also kill like the NPCs that are important for quests. But because in that little like mini world zone with like Moog and stuff, there's no NPCs, you don't have to worry about that. So he's just been like freaking clipping out of bounds and getting all the freaking enemies to fall to their death as he farms runes, and is now like past level 100 within like a few days of playing. And I'm like, literally, what the heck? So anyway, that's been happening recently. So no, he hasn't gotten Radahn to jump into the ocean yet. I was in a voice call with him earlier while he was trying out some things, and he was trying to get Radahn to get into the ocean, but wasn't quite getting it there. He was also going for like the cheese of getting Radahn to like fall to his death by like climbing the nearby hillside, and he had a couple attempts that looked like really close, quite frankly, but never quite perfectly getting there, it seemed like. So, you know, he's just freaking speed running through like I shouldn't say like speed running, maybe I should say like casual speed running, like first playthrough speed running through like Elden Ring is the thing right now. As I was mentioning earlier this stream, I'm getting the old antique truck towed over to my cousin's place like tomorrow morning, and I was telling him this in voice call earlier today, and he was saying like, okay, if you're coming over tomorrow morning, then we're gonna grind like crazy tonight, so that'll be like an insane level by the time you're over tomorrow. And I was like, okay. You know, so there was that. Hello Guzma, how are you doing tonight? We were just talking a little bit earlier about your take analysis on Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3 being a future, past, and present respectively, and how that was like a really fitting thing there. How the heck do I get up there? around like the other side here. We were just talking about that a smidge ago. You were on the talk. This away. Wee. So yeah, there's that. So, you know, the stuff in Elden Ring that was taking me like dozens upon dozens of hours, he's just like bum rushing through. He was facing Renala earlier today, but like died to some of her like summons or magic. He's doing like insane damage with his bleed katanas that he has like equipped. So, you know, he's getting a hit on Renala and it's taking off like massive chunks of her health. So he was facing her earlier today and died a couple times, and he was like, well, I'll come back to this later. I was like, are you sure? You're doing so much more damage than I was when I was doing this boss, and I was already over leveled as heck during this boss. And he was like, nope, I gotta be like so OP that I shred all the bosses, and I was like, okay. You know, but yeah. So there's that. You notice that it seems to be a thing the main villain sits around too, not just the theme of the story, huh? Interesting. Hey, look. Hi, Jesse. Hi, Dewey's looking at me there. Let's pitch in. Yeah, let's get in there. Whoops. I guess I didn't have the Doogie Cam on before, and I pressed the button that, like, turned it on. What? You. Conversation can wait. We'll take it from here. Oh no, whatever those things are that I forget the names of. Bunnets? They're not bunnets. They're the weird. They're hoxes. That's what they are. I'm auto battling this script. So yeah, there's that. If I'm auto battling this, I can take this as like a little bit of a water break. Man-eating hoxes. There's a lot of them. My goodness gracious. One of my really bad habits on stream is just not drinking enough fluids and like dehydrating myself with all the speaking. So during times like this, I wonder if I should try to get into like a bit of a better habit of, you know, hydrating. Because the game is just playing itself, you know? Oh yeah, that was apparently a new catchphrase. Nice. Nice new catchphrase there. I really have not drank enough water today. Nice moves, Tyon. Alright, there we go. How is everyone? No injuries? Why did you help us? We need a reason. Well, Agnes helping out Kevis. It's unheard of, isn't it? Your point? Do not get it yet. We do not trust you. Mimi, it's him. Oh, the guy that was like, yeah, my friend died and it's your fault even though you're from a different colony. You again. Just don't die, do you? I heard you were close. We heard you were in close with the commander. That doesn't mean anyone else in Colony 4 trusts you. We're not trying to win your trust. Just needed help. Did you say? I don't care about obligations. I just don't want to turn my back on anyone who fights for others. That's why we stepped in. No more reason than that. So you act in accordance with your principles. That's it. Ha! It's the best line Agnes lover like you can come up with. Sorry we overstepped our bounds. We'll go. Okay, fine. I approve of Ethel's judgment. Huh? I apologize for what I said before. I was just trying to test you. Come on, Maxie, what are you saying? Commander trusted you from the start. We have a duty to abide by her wishes. We heard about the thing with the medical supplies. That was all you. Anyway, we may as well introduce ourselves now. I'm Maxie, leader of Team Magma. Good lad, Maxie. So what kind of test were you talking about earlier? I wanted to use this opportunity to harness the power of Groudon to expand the landmass to make a better world for humans. Whether we could entrust our mission to, well... what? Captain, you mean your strategy was aimed at them? I was pretty sure you'd pass. Wait, are you serious right now? Them! Jeremy, I'm not saying this makes up for the past, but we can't forget that we're fighting for the living. We're in a critical situation. We need to break out of it while we can. We've got just the plan to do it. I want your help to make it happen. Are you sure about this? I'll be frank. We don't have the firepower. We're busy shoring up colony defense, so taking out enemies will help us. Some enemies will help us. More than that, I thought that proving your sincerity to everyone would be inspiring. I see. There's some days yet before the operation begins, so just think it over. Right. Angie! Alright, we did the thing, and it'll probably lead into, like, another quest. Most likely, right? There we go. Maxi. Well, yeah, like I said, it was like a one-off thing. I still have all the settings set up for it. You can set up however many, like, custom commands as you want, but you can, like, put on, like, a toggle whether they're, you know, actively available or not. So they're currently toggled to off. Currently. Maybe the day will come that I toggle them to on again. My goodness gracious, how much stuff did we get? This is insane. But yeah, let's see here. Gotta play your game when you release a demo. Yeah, I can do. If you're doing RPG Maker, I do have experience with the program. Specifically, making the program do something it was never meant to do. Because in my game design class, we did use RPG Maker so that people from like other faculties, like Faculty of Arts, Music, stuff like that, could participate in like the programming, not just the computing science students. But we were told that to get full marks in the class, you had to make the software design for making RPGs do something that it was never meant to do. So nobody in the entire class made an RPG. No matter what Maxi says. You Norian scum are still the enemy as far as I'm concerned. We'll be getting any funny ideas while you're here, okay? Or else. Maybe, should we move along here maybe? Look, he's Takumi 2.0. Yes, alright. He has more other things to say? Word of the flame clock getting smashed has spread to other colonies now, I'm sure. More places than just Hoshido know about it. Your enemies will be tightening security too, thanks to that little stunt. You've only got yourself to blame here. Hey, lay off us already. After everything we've done for you. Uni, don't let him rile you up. That's exactly what he wants. Yeah, Jeremy. Ugh. But yeah. Let's see here. Recently fallen into Transformers rabbit hole and now firmly believe Optimus Prime is the greatest Paragon type character to even exist. I don't even know what Paragon type character means. I'm sorry to say. Won't be till early next year by the time it's done, but in literally 1 to 2 days, we made quite a lot of progress. Nice. Every time you think of Optimus Prime now, you just go back and remember that video where he says, have you heard about the hit game Among Us? What? But yeah. RPG Maker, specifically RPG Maker XP. So you need that runtime package to run the game. Huh. I don't remember exactly what version we used. I could check my Steam library and tell you what version we used in that class. Or help with one certain thing you've been having trouble lately? Moving an event to a different location and changing, adding another event after completing a certain event. Like a new path opens up after beating a boss, for example. Again, since we did something that wasn't an RPG and we did something drastically different, I never did anything exactly like that, but I could probably reason it out. Probably. I could probably have like a look at it. Most likely there. Also, I try not to like draw a lot of attention to, you know, I do oftentimes mention that there was a class where in like the course of that semester we did make like a full game. It's just a short game, like just a, you know, like 20 to 30 minute thing that can be done in like one short session there, because you only have like a few months to work on it during the semester, so it's expected to be like a short game like that, especially when you're doing something that's not an RPG Maker, you know. So I you know, I mentioned that it's a thing that we did, but you know, considering the project kind of went all over the place to the point that well, our music guy kind of vanished without a word like halfway through the project, and our story writing guy kind of became more and more of a controlling jerk, let's just say, that it was like impossible to reason with. I swear I would talk with him, and you know, as one of the 2 programmers on the team, each team was supposed to have like 3 programmers, 1 artist, 1 story writer, 1 music writer. We instead had just 2 programmers and like 2 artists, so our game had like a lot of really cool art, but you know, there was a lot on our shoulders, me and the other programmer there, because you know, we had to handle a whole lot. And the story writing guy would be like talking to me, being like, oh, can you do X? And I'd be like, we actually can't because of the limitations of the software. And he'd be like, okay, get it done by next week. I'd be like, did you not hear what I just said? About the software. Like, it was not the best there. And you know, we kind of wanted to tell a little bit of a story of like mental health and facing one's demons and such. And we were gonna have like this mental kind of, our playable character was like this wispy like character that would exist within the quote-unquote like main character's mind, essentially, like traversing through these memories. I'm gonna go get that container in the meantime while I'm rambling here. And as we were like forming our story there about like why the enemies in the mind were attacking this wispy creature, what I had elected for and vouched for was handling it in a way of like Pokemon's Super Mystery Dungeon, where, you know, there's like this amalgamation of like negative emotions, but it's not truly evil, it just wants to be accepted. And that maybe, you know, this wispy character that you play as is like a representation of these like negative emotions or repressed memories, stuff like that, and that's why it's being attacked. But like, you know, the story learns to accept these things rather than seeing it as like, rather than seeing your hardship as like some great evil, learning to accept it and find a place for it in your life. That's the approach that I wanted to have in my story, like in like my version of the story there. But our story writing guy told me, no, that would undermine like mental health. Like, that would be so disrespectful there. Like, people wouldn't be able to take it seriously because it's so crap that it would undermine mental health. I would much rather that we just, like, go defeat the big bad mental health and then everything is sunshine and rainbows because you, like, defeated the bad force. And I was like, wow. Okay, apparently my version undermines mental health where you, like, accept your hardship. And the version where it's like, yeah, you just defeated like some generic boss and like everything is sunshine and rainbows now. That yeah, that's the good version there. So I'm gonna be honest, I never even like did a full playthrough of the game because I don't want to see how it turned out, quite frankly. So the reason why I don't promote the game that I worked on a whole lot is because of stuff like that. And the fact that, like, to this day, I've not actually done a full playthrough of it myself, because I don't think I can bring myself to after that whole mess. But in the context of, you know, in the context of talking about making games, this will probably be the one time that I mention, like, where you can probably find it. I don't know for sure, because I haven't, like, saw it out. I know that it exists on my computer, but in case anyone wants to find it, in the context of, you know, talking about, game design stuff here and RPG Maker stuff, this is the first time ever on the channel that I'll mention where to find it, and maybe the last time. If anybody goes onto the University of Alberta Games Archive and looks for a game called Morgan was the name of our game, and you can probably find it on the University of Alberta like game archives of games made by students during previous years. You can probably find it there. I'm never saying that again. This is because Guzma's like in the middle of making a game. This is the one time that I'm making an exception. So yeah, there's that. Essentially, I'm gonna try and get this container in the meantime. Oh my good gracious. Okay, we're fine there. But yeah, let's see here. And MZ is the best one. I don't think we used MZ. I could be wrong because it's been, you know, like a couple of years at this point. Has it been a couple of years or was it like a year and a half? My goodness, time flies. But yeah, let's see here. You wanted to get, but you had to start saving up your money lately, but you already had XP installed, so it was something you already purchased back then. Gotcha, makes sense there. But yeah, money is definitely really important there. I know that you are a crazy mad lad sometimes, so it is good to be like getting into the habit of like, you know, saving and, you know, investing into things that are important and meaningful to you, you know? Yes, let's punch mental health into oblivion, great idea. Yeah, so I don't even know for sure what the final plot was, but considering I know, like, in our group chats that that's what our story writing guy was trying to lean towards, and, like, really hated my my suggestion of an approach, I just couldn't bring myself to, you know, beat it. And I don't want to be that kind of guy that's all stubborn where it's like, if it's not done my way, then it's not worth, like, considering at all. But, you know, to say that, like, accepting your trauma and negative experiences is undermining mental health when you're proposing that you just, like, beat the bad memories and then it's gone and wow, you did it, is like, No, man. No. That's not how it works. But yeah, in your version, you're gonna have the true antagonists with multiple fights throughout the game, but gonna make them so intimidating that you lose against him every single time because of how evil it is. Wait, you lose because of his evil? Shouldn't it be losing because of, like, how powerful he is? Unless you're just saying, or she, potentially. Or you're just saying because of, like, or because of how evil the game is. I assume that you don't lose a battle because someone's evil. You lose because they're powerful, or maybe the game that you're playing is, like, evil and mean and stuff. But yeah, of courtesy for your pain will not follow the directions you just gave. I honestly kind of appreciate it. There's a part of me that's kind of like, you know, if anyone wants to like check it out like a smidge, you can. But considering that I myself haven't brought myself to ever, like, I honestly am kind of a little bit embarrassed to say that I've never done a full playthrough of the one video game that I had like a significant hand in making. But I can't bring myself to, straight up. Nupon Coins 86. I accidentally looked at ether cylinders for a hot second there. Like, I don't think I can. Maybe one day I will, because it is, like, it honestly is pretty strange to have had, like, such a significant part in a game as, like, one of 2 programmers and to have not done, like, a short playthrough of it. But I can't bring myself to. And it's funny, like, I was streaming a decent bit of, like, the programming of it, interestingly enough, with the idea being that, you know, my fellow group members could come into the stream and give me, like, suggestions as I'm programming. None of them ever did. You can still find it, like, on the YouTube channel if you, like, search up Morgan. Like, you can find, like, some of the production of it. I never did, like, a playthrough of it on the channel or anything like that, just, like, some of the production of it. But, you know, it's the kind of thing that you can only find on the channel nowadays if you search for it. It's not a featured playlist on, like, any of the shelves. It's not under, like, playthroughs, anything like that. Like, I purposefully set up the playlist so that the only way you're finding it on the channel is if you know what to search for. Like, when I was first started production, I did have it, like, in my playthroughs, like, reverse chronological thing, along with all the other adventures we had. But after that whole fiasco, I was just like, yeah, I'm just removing it from there. There have been very few adventures that I've removed from the playthroughs playlist, or from the playthroughs shelf. That was one of them. Stardew Valley is another one. That's a story for another day, though. But yeah, let's just see here. But yeah, idea was just playing better because you're on the spectrum, so learning that you're not broken is something they've had to accept and felt much better when you had, yeah, like, it's not something to just be like, overcome like some negative thing, like, oh man, this is some like super awful thing that you need to work past, and then it's like defeated, and wow, you did it. No, it's like, this is an important part of your life, and you know, when it comes to like trauma, repressed memories, negative emotions, stuff like that, or any kind of thing that anybody's suffering with, it's not that it's something that's just like, aha, you overcome and then it's done. It's still something that's like a part of you and you have to accept as like a part of your life, even if it's something that you're not, you know, proud of. You can control to what degree it has like influence in your life if you're struggling with like trauma or like negative emotions, stuff like that. But you shouldn't ever pretend that it doesn't exist, because then you're just gonna like bottle it up and then it's gonna come back stronger than ever. And that's why I love the plot of Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon so much, because the plot is literally all about that. The main antagonist in that game is Dark Matter, which is like the amalgamation of like all the negative emotions around the world and stuff. And the heroes have tried to beat it before the plot of the game even happened, much like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 here, but have failed. Because as Dark Matter describes before you strike it down, if you strike me down, I will just come back like stronger than ever for some future generation. Which draws like really strong parallels to how somebody that's struggling with like a lot of negative emotions, if they just tried to repress them and just like defeat them like that and aha, they're gone, it's just gonna be bottling up and it's gonna come back stronger than it was before. Much like Dark Matter within the world of Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon does. So rather than striking it down like some like absolutely evil being, the path to victory and the happy ending there is your partner in Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon accepting Dark Matter and being like, yeah, I'm fine with you know, striking you down in the sense that like you get scattered around the world again because you belong in this world with us. Like, even if it's something that we look down on sometimes and we're not super proud of, like, the world wouldn't be the world without you around, so you belong here with us. So like, come back to being like a part of the world with us. And like, as you're defeating dark matter and the screen's going white, you can see like faint text on the screen saying thank you, and then you don't have to worry about dark matter, you know, returning and bringing calamity to the world again, because it's been accepted as part of the world. So it doesn't mean that like hardship is gone for good. Like, you know, the dark matter, as is, you know, the embodiment of this, is scattered around the world, and that, and, you know, all these negative emotions and strife is still present. But, you know, it makes the argument that like this is okay, and it's about learning to deal with that, not just like bottling it up. And that's why I freaking adore the plot of Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon so much. Like, I still feel like my favorite Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game is Explorers of Sky, but like Super Mystery Dungeon is such like a close second. Like, my goodness gracious, what a, I'm gonna be honest, what a masterclass in storytelling. Like, I love that game. I adore it so much. And then there's freaking Pokemon Mystery Dungeon 1 and 3, where it's like, they're okay, I guess. I feel like they do some fascinating things, to be fair, but Explorers and Super, chef's kiss in like the deeper meaning behind the stories they tell. And that's why they're like so special to me, is because they had deeper meaning. So when I suggested that idea of a plot for like our game, my key inspiration was Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon. Like, to accept dark matter as part of the world rather than some big bad to be defeated. But our story writing guy much preferred the idea of a big bad to be defeated. So there was that. But yeah, so hearing what your story writer said actually offended you and pissed you off a bit. I was a little bit as well at the time, because like, again, I'm not gonna freaking be that kind of person that's like, oh, well, it's my way or the highway. But the fact that I tried to propose this thing that sounded like a really deeply meaningful kind of thing, and he straight up told me that it would undermine mental health, I was just like taken aback. I was like, really? It would undermine mental health? Are you serious right now? Anyway, so I was not super impressed. I've not talked to him since then. Like, you know, after the group project was done, you know, everyone kind of went their separate ways and such. But yeah, I mean, he technically knows about my channel, since I mentioned to the group like, hey, I'm streaming this project, and you know, you can tune in here if you want to like give me suggestions while I'm programming live. But I don't think he ever did. But he does technically know about my channel. So, you know, it is possible. It is technically possible that he could be tuning into this one day, which would be really awkward. But if he ever is, screw you, Mr. Dudo, honestly. Anyway. Anyway, so there was that. But yeah, you remember that? Thank you there, Guzma. Is so good. I never even noticed it on my first playthrough. I only noticed it on like after the fact. That's the thing. I wonder what Maxie's plan is. Whatever it is, he trusts us now, right? Something to celebrate. Yeah, it's good to know we haven't just been yelling into the void. We're peaceful. That said, not everyone was happy. That Jeremy lad, he's probably been through a lot. I mean, that Takumi lad. Oh, I have another water bottle right beside the door. Kind of startled her as it got knocked over, so I'll just move it. I'm sorry that startled you. You can lie all the way back now. Yeah, now you can lie all the way back properly. I know it's not the best angle for the Doogie Cam. I apologize. Not everyone's ready to be besties with us. I've read that as besties, but it's bezies. Yas. Everyone's gonna be the bezies with Uni. In which case, it's wise to take him at his word. I think we should. Must, Stephen. He's worried about Colony 4, naturally. And if we can resolve the misunderstandings about us, as Maxie said, and the misunderstandings about Team Aqua. Well said, Mimi. Act first, worry later, yeah? Yeah, there's no point in rehashing it. We're just gonna do what we believe is right. Alright, tactical eradication. Let's accept this. Alright. And then, oh, I can't clean up here, whatever.
Alright, everyone. Time to
Alright.
head out.
All right, I think that's the first time I basically heard you say fuck you in particular to someone on stream. I doubt that he'd ever be watching like my streams. He wasn't even tuning in like during the times that I said like, hey, I'm programming our game live if you want to like give any suggestions while I'm in the middle of programming. Unless he was like secretly lurking and, you know, jotting down all the things he hated about my design during that or something nefarious like that. But, so I very highly doubt it. But it is technically a possibility. Yeah, very, very highly doubt that he'd be watching my stuff there. Imagine after the class was over, he started like tuning into some of my playthroughs, like, wow, that programmer that was on my team, he's really fun and stuff. I'm gonna tune into his series. It's too fun. And then he sees like this one thing where Bob that says screw him in particular. It's technically not impossible. I very highly doubt it, but it is technically possible. But yeah, let's see here. But yeah, I remember doing a poggers when you saw it in your first run, the Super History Dungeon. Thank you. If anything, your biggest poggers with that game was when Arceus turned to stone. Arceus. Oh, yeah, I guess that was technically a thing that happened. Hey, by the way, have you met Yorda from the Tactician Squad yet? Like right before the final sequence, then. Yorda and I are kind of a unit. Sure, she's a little that forced its way out uptight sometimes, but I really do depend on her for a lot. Anyway, if you see her, you should say hi. It'll be good for us all to get to know each other, right? Yeah, it adds you to my affinity chart. Gives me like affinity stuff and whatnot. I've also had some people point out that I say and whatnot and such a lot. And now that it's been pointed out to me, I'm starting to notice it all the freaking time. Especially when I go back and watch some of my stuff as I'm cutting it up into parts later. I start to notice how, you know, maybe I'm not as confident in my speech and continuing coherent sentences going as I thought I was, considering I'm using all these filler words all the time. So, I don't know, maybe I'll try to get out of that habit a little bit, because I had somebody in real life recently point out that it was really annoying to them, and I thought that it was kind of rude to call it annoying. But then after they noticed it and I started noticing it when like watching back my stuff, it started getting really annoying to me, and it's like, gosh darn it, you know. So